Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do not have a quorum, so we won't be able to make any motions for tonight's meeting, but we do have some presentations that we want to hear about. With that, let's go ahead and skip down to Sarah McIntyre. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I am so sorry that we don't have a quorum tonight, but Valentine's Day and all, I guess that happens.
Can I do roll call real fast?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can I do roll call?
Oh, yes.
I know we don't have very many people, but okay. So Alex is absent. Ryan.
Present.
David is absent. Dawn.
Present.
Kim is absent. Peck.
Present.
Will is absent. And Lori is currently absent. Thank you.
All righty. Anyway, Rochelle, did you want to introduce our guest, or should we just jump right into it?
Well, I'm always happy to introduce Sarah. Her and I've been able to work together for 2.5 years, and I'm glad she's here tonight to ask the Parks Board to endorse a grant. And I've just, can't say enough wonderful things about Sarah, and that was me introducing Sarah, so go for it.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm really excited to talk to you. My name is Sarah McIntyre, and I'm the director for the Sandy and Hoodland Libraries. We have a service area that starts in Boring and goes to Government Camp. So it's 394 square miles. It's a large service area. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and hopefully you'll be able to see the quick deck of slides that I have ready. Let me see here. Can you see the slides now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And maybe I can't move the slides around. Let's see. Okay. Can you see the Y and outreach vehicle slide now?
Yes.
Great. So as I said, the Sandy and Hoodland Libraries have a large service population area. We're about the same size as the Oregon Trail School District, if you're familiar with the Oregon Trail School District's boundaries. But we have the same amount of population as a number of libraries in the Clackamas County Library District, which is called LINC. But we have a lower percentage of library card users than a number of our close libraries that are close in our population. And we believe it's because of our significant square mileage. So that 394 square miles makes it more difficult for underserved people to get into the library. Kids, elderly people who maybe don't drive themselves and things like that. It's harder to get into the library for those groups of people. So just to give you an example, the West Lynn Library has close to the same population that we do. They're about 1,000 people short of what Sandy and Hoodland have, but they're in 18 square miles. So that's a huge difference. And they have like 43% of their service population has a library card with them. And in Sandy, 29% of our population has a library card with us currently. So we are hoping that through getting in this outreach vehicle and going out into the community, issuing library cards, checking materials out, that those statistics will go up and will sort of meet at least close to where everybody else is. To give you an example, the Molalla Library, which currently has a bookmobile, they've been using it for the last year. They have gone up 6% in their number of card holders. And Sandy has only gone up 1.43% in the same time period. So, and we really believe that bookmobile is getting those extra cards out to people and getting people to use the library more. So we're hoping to get this vehicle to take it to retirement homes, senior centers, daycares, preschools, schools and parks, and have community stops in Sandy and in the outlying areas. You can ask a question anytime you have one if you want to, or you can wait till the end. I'm okay either way. So the outreach vehicle, we're really trying to get a flexible vehicle. And so we could have shelves that can be traded out for desks. The vehicle we're looking at currently, you can put 5 desks in. And so we would teach our computer classes out in the community. Maybe even going over to the senior center for a computer class where the seniors tend to gravitate more towards the senior center than the library even. We're close in distance, but maybe not in thought. So, but if we can offer computer classes there, that would be great. So we started teaching computer classes in the library in April of 2022. And so far, 122 people have signed up for our classes. And these are mostly older adults. We started with basic computer and basic internet classes and added Microsoft Word and Google Drive. And those classes have been very popular. We also can just take computers out with us and have the internet available for people out in the community with printing services. So we do a big business in people using our computers and had over 29,000 pages printed in the library in fiscal year 2023. So we think that that would be a benefit to the community if we could go out and do that. And then the youth services component. So going to daycares and preschools to do story times. We have our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program that we can take out with us. So early literacy is a big push in libraries, and it's a great indicator of success in life. So we would also do STEM activities. Right now we do STEM activities in the library, and we go out to the Vista Apartments to do STEM activities, which is a migrant housing community. So we could do those STEM activities out in the community, maybe after schools in the school parking lot or something like that. We could have a group of kids come on board to do STEM activities with us. And then of course, checking out library materials. Even when we have those desks in there, we can have at least 15 shelves, which equates to a large number of children's books and about half of the amount for adult books. But we would target the materials to the group that we were going to visit. So we're hoping that the impacts of our outreach vehicle will be increased kids' early learning literacy activities and an increase in kids and teen STEM learning activities. So we are also doing the Makerspace, which is STEM programming with the community center at the community center. And that has been a great partnership. But we could do those activities, a lot of them. Not some of them we couldn't because the machines are big, but we could take smaller items out into the community to do those activities. In the Oregon Trail School District, data shows that Hispanic kids are behind their peers in science learning. So STEM activities can really help increase science learning for those communities and hopefully increase their test scores at some point. And then we would have an increased number of computer sessions and computer class participation, and hopefully finally an increase in library card holders and regular library users. So what we're asking organizations do to help is to write a letter of support. And that was our ask for this evening. And we will very soon have a survey available that we're going to send out to the community at large and send to all different community groups to ask for input on where and when we should park the vehicle. So look for that coming out and hopefully talk about the possibilities with your friends and neighbors. We're really excited about this project and hoping to get the grant funding that we need to be able to order the bookmobile. Once we actually order the vehicle, it will be about 18 to 24 months before it arrives. So there is a long wait time, unfortunately, but that gives us planning time and time to get ready to be able to provide the service.
Very nice. Any questions, Peck, Ryan, either of you two?
No questions. I'm excited to like endorse this once we have a quorum. because I think it's really important as a teacher in the Oregon Trail School District that we have these options available to students to get books in their hands, as many as we can. So it makes my job easier too, the grand scheme of things. So I'm all for it. I love the idea, and I love the opportunity to like serve the greater community, because we do have a lot of square miles to cover, and to see like the amount of library card holders compared to others around surrounding areas is kind of disappointing. And I was like, oh, that's sad. So I'm excited for the opportunity, and as soon as we have a quorum, I would definitely be like making a proposal. Or
Very good. And Peck, any comments or questions?
Just same, really, really supportive of this whole thing. I'm a huge library user, and I just live a couple blocks away, so I'm lucky with that. And I love that. I always just thought of bookmobiles as books, but it's really cool that we get to have those other digital and like STEM equity opportunities. I think that's really neat. So yeah, fully supportive.
Well, I'm pretty excited too. When I, believe it or not, when I was a little boy, we used to have a bookmobile that would come around to our neighborhood. And rather than books, I think they carried stone tablets, you know, because it's a long, long time ago. But no, it was always exciting when they came. So I am very excited about this. Also, I look forward to seeing them maybe in Bornstead Park or some of our other parks around town. Maybe at summer concerts or at special events in Mining Park, and maybe one day over in Cedar Park also. So it'll be real exciting for that. Because we don't have a quorum, because we can't take action on this, I think what I'll do is work with staff to draft a letter. And in that letter, we will circulate it amongst all the different committee members and invite them all to sign it. So in lieu of having a vote, what we'll do is try and get everybody to individually sign on to that letter so that we can show a good, strong majority of support for this project, if that's okay. When do you need that letter by?
Our grant is due March 15th, so
Okay,
yeah,
So we got a day or two.
anytime before that would be great.
very good. Well, I'll get together with Rochelle and Chelsea. We'll put together a quick letter and start circulating that, see if we can get everybody to sign on to it. Does that sound okay, Peck and Ryan? Yep. Okay. Well, I think that is how we'll proceed. Lori, good to see you again. All righty. Sarah, thank you so much for coming and joining our meeting. I am so sorry that we didn't have a full group tonight, because I think your message would have been extremely well received, but we'll get that letter out, and hopefully we'll get 7 signatures on there representing each of our members.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Have a nice night and happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
All righty. Old business, Rochelle.
Yeah, great. I'll take a second to kick this off, but I just wanted to welcome back Brian Martin, Kurt Lango, and Carly Boys. I think I said your last name correctly this time. Last time, I think I did not say it correctly. Oh, good. Okay. They're with Lango Hansen Landscape Architects. They're back to speak with us about Deer Point, which is a park that was on the council goals. And so we are starting the concept portion of it. And if you were here for the last meeting or watched the last meeting, there was some preliminary conversations about it. And we're doing a follow-up with that. And they can talk to you about a schedule that's coming up regarding open houses. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to the Lango Hansen team. And thank you for the Parks Board members, you guys that were here tonight, and your input's going to be highly valued with this conversation. So.
Thank you, Rochelle. And thank you everybody for giving us a little bit of your Valentine's Day evening. Not sure that this is the romantic atmosphere anybody was hoping for, but appreciated nonetheless. And yeah, we're excited to be here. Since the last time we met last month, we've been taking the input that we received from this group and started to get out the paper and pens and put those ideas down as it relates to a couple site plan options, which we'll share with you this evening. I think before we jump into those options, probably be good to just really quickly touch on what we talked about last month and set the context for where we are tonight. Just flipping through these slides pretty briefly, we talked about the overall park context, where it sits here, Deer Point Park, within the larger park network of Sandy, identifying this specifically Deer Point as a neighborhood park and what amenities a neighborhood park provides and what they don't necessarily provide. Looked at how there's some planning work that's gone into this site already. It was, as Rochelle indicated, this was in the Parks and Trails master plan and cited as a goal from council for development. Just looking at where the park sits on the far east end of town, just south of Highway 26, abutting one side of it, right up against the neighborhood on the west side, and then future proposed development on one, which is currently forested on the other side. Looking at the site itself, a bit of topography, quite a bit of topography from the high point at the south dropping to the north. Currently, it's open lawn on one half in essence, and then the other side is a mix of somewhat mature, nice evergreen tree stands, and then a lot of blackberry undergrowth at the ground level. We as a group spent quite a bit of time talking about the potential park amenities, looking at this list and adding others that came to mind and weighing the pros and cons of each for this particular site. And that really started as the kind of the springboard for us as we started to develop some site plan options. So with that, I'll jump into tonight's presentation. Just looking at, to start this off, for those of you that are more or less familiar with the site, looking at a number of site photos here, the top two images looking from Highway 26, so facing south into the site. So you can start to see from some angles, there's views into the site. That lawn is the site itself. And from other locations along Highway 26, there's quite a bit of vegetative screening that is in place right now. And the images on the bottom are from the south portion of the site looking to the north and showing those existing conditions of the lawn, the blackberries, and then the larger trees in the background. And it's worth noting, you'll see in these pictures, there's no real on-site development other than some preliminary storm drains that have been installed and the curb to finish off the street improvement. So there's no sidewalk, there's no planter strip, there's no street lights on our side of the park side of the property there. And I touched on this a little bit from the presentation that we were highlighting, but I just want to reiterate, topography plays a big role on this site, and we kept that in mind in developing each of the site options, but it's definitely not a flat site. So it's about 25, just under 30 feet from the high point down here at Fawn and Meadow to the low point at the north end of the site at Meadow. So we have 3 different site options that I'll walk you through each of them. And if you have any questions along the way, definitely feel free to jump in and ask those questions, comments as well. Approaching this, thinking about walking on the site from the south, this, as I mentioned, the high point, we have a set of stairs and an accessible ramp that from this jumping off point lead to a mini plaza here in essence. There's a bit of a flat spot we've contoured out, showing a sport court here, potentially a half court basketball court fits in that space. And each of these are contour lines here, 1 foot contour lines for reference. So from this upper terrace area, the path meanders down past the large existing Doug fir and cedar trees. And about midpoint in the park, it splits and provides a looped trail experience through the park. To the right, starts to enter into this darker color, which indicates more of a shrub and ground cover experience versus this lighter green, which is open lawn. And ultimately, this direction connects with a future sidewalk along Highway 26. But on the park site itself, it loops back around and circles around. This is a centrally located play area, and central to the site itself is a park shelter. The pathway continues on to the north, dropping down and ties back into meadow itself. And common to each of the three schemes, you'll see are street trees, the sidewalk being built out along the frontage of the park up to Fawn Street. This is the terminus of Fawn Street today. There's future expansion proposed, but the sidewalk improvements we're showing end there. Jump onto the second site plan option. And in this one, if we start at the same location down at intersection of Fawn and Meadow, you'll see the path sweeps back and forth, meanders down, and that was very intentional. What we've done here is tried to provide an option that's accessible, that doesn't have any stairs in the option. And in each of these, anytime we're showing this pathway without the stairs, we're keeping the grades at less than 5%, so that we really want to try and not be in a position where we're going to need handrails for any true ramp conditions. So this meanders down the grade here. I think ultimately, so we have the shrubs and ground cover on the right side, the open lawn on the left side. You'll start to see more trees in this option. So it's in essence meandering through the forest, right at the edge of that forest condition. Towards the middle of the site, we open up to public plaza with a shelter. See a play area here nestled into right at the edge of the forest. So some of both the open and the forested conditions. And then this pathway continues up to that future sidewalk at Highway 26. And then this large open lawn area is circled by this arcing pathway. There's a nice loop option here. And then nestled between the highway and the path is what we're proposing. This option is a pair of pickleball courts. And the location here, the thought behind that being sometimes there's noise associated with those. This is closer to the highway and set back away from the existing residences. One thing I want to touch on with this option real quick is something that came up in our last presentation with this group was the idea of disc golf. And we definitely looked at that as an overlay in each of the options. This option has the most open space, contiguous open space in terms of throwing a Frisbee. So this little window off to the right side here, this is about 150 feet, which is really the shortest length that's typical for a disc golf course. And just showing some of the constraints there of what it would be like to have the tee box here. At the end, you're either throwing and terminating right near the playground or adjacent property or the street itself. So it's something that we've been considering. It just ultimately, what we're feeling is it doesn't feel like this site necessarily lends itself to a multi-hole disc golf course. Jump onto the third option here. So option 3 shows a series of stairs leading down with the accessible ramp diverging from that point and meandering through the woods. So these are both existing trees on both sides of that loop. So it's a more forested experience and that accessible route. This is the perhaps more direct, but through the open lawn experience there. They reconnect and then open up into the centrally located half-court basketball and a single pickleball court right in the middle of the site. And the pathway continues on, again, providing that connection to the future sidewalk. And then there's a looped trail around the play area located at the far south end of the site, the lower, in terms of elevation, part of the site. And then, so the southern route is the accessible route. This northern route requires stairs to make the grades work there. And for scale, the play areas are right in the range of 6,000 to 7,000 square feet in each of these options, which is pretty typical to what we might see in a neighborhood park of this size. One thing I wanted to touch on real briefly, it's more just as part of the designing process, things that we have to be aware of. This graphic shows these solid lines. So this yellow is the park site, and these solid lines are utilities that are installed to date. So storm and sanitary lines. And as a part of the bigger master plan for the Bull Terrace, the blanking on the name, Bull Run Terrace master plan, given the topography of the site and some other considerations, some of the utilities are planned to cut through the site. So it's more just of a consideration is in terms of where we might be able to place some of the improvements. And we're working with Public Works right now just to see exactly the best location for each of these storm lines, and what makes the most sense, and what the overall timing of the installation of these are going to be, so that we're well coordinated when it comes time to construct the park itself. So those are the three options that we've developed so far. I think based on what we've talked through, I'd love to hear everyone's feedback and what's working with any one of them, what's not working, refining this. Ultimately, next step is to continue to refine these options, and early next month, take these in front of council and present these options to them and get their input as well.
Yeah, I would just mention briefly that in addition to council, we will be taking these out to the public and the neighbors. And we definitely want to hear your comments and preferences. I think you'll kind of notice that each scheme, the play area is located in a different place. The sport courts are located differently. Some have stairs, others don't. And so we do that intentionally because we know that probably that the ultimate design will be a combination of these three, but it's also helpful for the public and the neighbors to really have distinct choices. So it's like the play area isn't always in the same location. So I think there is kind of a method to these designs. And in addition to any comments you have, we'd love to hear if you think we've left anything out that we should share with the public in any one of these different concepts.
Okay. Peck, what are your thoughts?
So looking at all three of them, my first thought is that I'm a walker, first of all, so this is from my perspective, but I really like the left two with the path that's a little bit more interesting. So that the path itself is it's kind of like a feature as opposed to a thing that you use to get to the other features, is what the one on the right feels like. And I like that the path goes through the forests a bit, or at least on, along the side of it. Probably, like, my personal preference would probably be the second one with the pickleball courts, just to have that option. And I know there's a contingent of the public that would like that too, I'm sure. Yeah, and just in general, I know I said this last time, I really like, obviously keeping the big trees is important to me, and as much, I think it'd be cool to try and use native ground cover if possible. I think there was a comment before about keeping blackberries, and maybe not the Himalayan blackberries, although they do make a good screen, but they also tend to take over.
Yes, they
Pretty
do.
good for high security too.
Yes.
Thank you. Ryan, how about you? Thoughts?
So I kind of want to echo like what Peck was saying. I really like the second one personally. I like the idea of the pickleball court because there we have that contingent of pickleballers that I think they would really appreciate this type of amenity in the park. I didn't see that in I like the two on the left because I do like the walking paths, but I also like the second one the most because of the park, the playground's location amongst the, like the trees and kind of providing that shade, probably a little bit in like the summertime months. And I like the trail that can go down there and also make it accessible for everyone, without the stair option. And then having the pickleball court location like near the highway to kind of like drown out that sound of the for the neighbors in the area. And not having lived there, I imagine it would be kind of annoying in the summertime or like to hear the sound over and over, but like with the sound of the road, it should be blocking out pretty well. And I just kind of like that kind of feel, that kind of the meandering path, kind of like what we had in the Cedar River Park or Cedar Park, like kind of meandering thing. So I agree completely with what Peck was saying. Like the first and second options are my favorite, but number 2 particularly.
Well, I completely agree with both of you. Number 2 is my favorite. Although there are parts of number 1 that I would like to see kind of incorporated. I like the entrance down there on the lower left corner of number 1. I even like having the sport court down there. I would like to see the pickleball courts included as shown in option number 2 up there. I'd like to see those as being dedicated pickleball. That's kind of what I like about having the sport court on the bottom, is it allow you to have basketball or anything else that the people would need a hard flat space for, and maintain the independence of the pickleball. And I'd like to see the pickleball courts have netting, put in place so that they aren't having to, buy a combination to a lockbox and install these nets themselves and take them down themselves and put them away themselves and hope that they get done correctly and not get damaged too much. So I'd like to see that element of it. Number 2, I like the entrance at the mid park also coming in, and I share Ryan's feelings about having the playground nestled into the tree area. The third one, like Peck said, seems just a little too utilitarian for me. It just pretty much just kind of walkways that just lead to the couple of little areas and that's it. I also don't like having the playground that close to the residents up at the top of the park there. On each of them, we're showing a future trail or path connection to a future sidewalk along Highway 26. I assume that sidewalk future would look something along what's on the north side of Highway 26 now, that was recently put in. I think I would probably label that as future connection, so that people understand that we're not just going to be building the park and then, encouraging people to stumble out into the highway without some kind of a terminus there to get them one way or another. So that's kind of my feeling in that regard. So that's kind of how I feel about it. So a combination of number 1 and number 2 is my favorite look on this one. Rochelle, what is the process? Remind us again of the process after this. Where do we go? And what's the timing on all these?
Yeah, I actually might kick this back to Kurt and Brian and Carly. I believe they have a schedule, and we can talk a little bit about that as far as the next steps and where it goes to from here.
So we are scheduled to present to City Council March 4th, and then 2 days later have our public open house, present this and get input at both of those times. And then at this point, we're scheduled to come back in 1 month to this group here and present more refined options based on what we hear tonight and what we have heard tonight, and then also the meeting with council and the open house as well.
Well, one other thought on this. I completely agree with you. As much as I would love to see a facility that can handle a disc golf course, I don't believe that this will be the one to be able to handle that.
Yeah, especially with the location of like having 150 feet from the tee box and then having a part like the playground right behind that, I could see some of those frisbees flying and hitting a kid in the head.
Yeah,
And they're pretty solid frisbees. They're not like they're discs. They're not like those flat frisbees. So it would be I think, a good idea not to include the disc golf in this one.
yeah. Beck, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't until you actually, you know, scaled it out, because it was very conceptual before. It seemed like we had so much space, but once you actually put it on the map, there's not that much.
We had a
Yes.
lot of space until we started programming the site. then
Right.
had a lot less space.
Yeah, space goes away quickly.
Yeah.
Or have we given you enough feedback on this?
Yeah, this has been great. It's always exciting to get, it's always exciting with a brand new project, but then to get to that stage where we start putting ideas down and yeah, 3 options here, but it was good to hear all of your input tonight.
No, definitely appreciate it.
Right. All righty. Anything else that we need to talk about regarding this, Rochelle?
No, I covered it.
All righty. Well, Kurt, Brian, et al., thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us this evening. Sorry we didn't have an agenda, but I hope the feedback was valuable for you.
Yeah,
Yep, it was.
definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, guys.
much.
Right. All righty. Rochelle, we're winding down. I forgot to ask if we had any public in the waiting in the wings to talk to us.
We do not.
We do not. I kind of didn't think so. All righty. Rochelle, staff updates.
Okay, well, first of all, happy Valentine's, everyone. So I found this shirt and decided to wear it on
Fantastic.
behalf of Valentine's. So yes,
I do want to
I was pretty
compliment
pleased. Oh, that's great. Just a real quick update. The demo is on schedule, and the next thing that people will start noticing when they drive by that site will be the demolition of the middle school. The aquatic facility has come down, and they're backfilling and clearing the debris from that. And so, yep, old middle school next. And then what they'll come in and is make sure that the site is leveled and the restoration portion of it. And that work should be completed here in the next 2 months. So Sandy Bluff. So about a year ago or 2 years ago, when I first started, we talked about improvements to Sandy Bluff Dog Park. That project is actually starting next week. We've received the shelters. There'll be a 16 by 28 foot shelter in cell 3. Did I get that right, Tiana? Cell 3. I always get them backwards. And then the dog park will have a 12 by 12 shelter, and then we'll be rearranging and changing up the dog park so it's ADA accessible and just easier for people to access that. So that work will start to start next week, and then it should take about 8 weeks to complete that. So we'll start to see movement down there. Cedar Park is coming along nicely. We're going to start seeing mobilization here within the next couple of weeks. We have our first weekly meeting with the general contractor and the action sports contractors tomorrow. And site prep has been happening. The track has been demolished. The skate park has been demolished. And then you'll start to see site grading and quite a bit of activity happening down there. That whole site is closed off to the public. So we are just reminding people, if we see enthusiastic fisher people trying to make it down to the trail, we're trying to keep them off that area. So, and then I'll hand it off to, it looks like, John, I can hand it off to you guys, but what I can say is the team is already working on Winterfest for next year. So we're planning how to increase the number of lights and the experience for the public. And they're working hard on summer events. So with that, I'll hand it off to John, who can fill in a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, hi everyone. Again, happy Valentine's Day. Beautiful shirt, Rochelle. Thank you for gracing us with that. Yeah, my updates are pretty quick today. We are not only are we still talking about Winterfest, but we have some new events coming up and some new partnerships for the spring and summer. The first event I want to talk about is a new event called Yappy Hour, which is a community-wide event similar to, think like Longest Day Parkway or the shortest day walkway that we had during Winterfest. It's a way to provide a free event for our community, to try to engage our local businesses, our local departments, our elected officials, our board members, to kind of come together, humanize the city, if you will, for an event specifically for this one, for our canine friends. So May 16th at our newly improved dog park, we're going to have Yappy Hour, where families can take their pooches around to a predetermined path and stopped at a kissing booth or a doggy portrait or a bobbing for apple station, and just a way to get out there and enjoy each other's company and have a good time and recreate. Pretty happy with the name Yappy Hour. There was a good solid 45-minute meeting where we just came up with dog puns for events, which was pretty solid. And then another hiccup that turned into, I think, what's going to be a pretty golden opportunity is a partnership with I9 Sports Leagues. For the past few years, we've contracted with Skyhawks to do summer camps, sports camps. They're usually a couple hours a day. They can no longer provide services to the Sandy area. So I reached out to the director of I9. They're really excited. I think it's their board or their decision makers just got approval to expand east of Gresham. So it was a pretty serendipitous timing in our conversation. And I have a meeting with their director next Wednesday to go look at our parks and amenities. And they are excited to do full day camps, 9 to 3, throughout the summer, and be able to provide a much needed service that is I think more consistent and more reliable to our Sandy youth. So excited about that option. And then on the senior services side, the month of March is nationally known as March for Meals. It's a campaign to raise awareness and funds for Meals on Wheels, which I've talked about before. It's a service where we provide nutritional meals to homebound seniors in the local Sandy and surrounding areas. And Carolina Smallwood is our client services coordinator. She's amazing. She's put together kind of like a multifaceted campaign where we're teaming up with the D31 Foundation to offer a meal to seniors at our senior center, with donations being accepted. D31 had applied for a grant, got the money to provide the food and the services, and then donations they've agreed to put towards our Meals on Wheels. She's also reached out to many businesses, has already heard back from Panda Express, Smoky Hearth, Mountain Mocha, and I'm missing someone. Who am I missing? I just had my notes. Anyways, doesn't matter. A bunch of restaurants that are going to, on a specific day in March, give a percentage of their proceeds to the Meals on Wheels campaign. 4 already confirmed. I imagine there's going to be more. So I would just look out for those flyers and that programming coming in March. And our last one is like a raffle. We're going to put together a pretty quality raffle basket that people will be able to bid on. And all that money will go to March for Meals. And that's what's been cooking, other than more Winterfest stuff, which is always exciting. And I'll kick it to Tiana unless anyone has any questions.
Nope.
Then Tiana, it is.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm in and out of the meeting. I just got power back. An exciting Valentine's up on the mountain.
Ah.
I don't even know. We had quite the storm last month, which I have lots of updates for you on that front. And for whatever reason, we lost it again tonight. So as Rochelle mentioned, things are moving along great over at the demolition and moving forward towards construction. But last week we had a citizen come forward to us and let us know about a tree that had been planted in front of the old grade school or middle school, excuse me, over there, in honor of Clarice Benson, a 6th grader that had passed away in 2009. We were able to save the tree. It's at operations right now, and we're going to hold on to it and keep it healthy, and then work with Lango Hansen to find a suitable home for it at the new park location. So there'll be more information to come on that as well as the project progresses, but really excited that we were able to save that little tree. Today, we also tentatively scheduled on April 6th, the Cedar Creek Trail will have its trail opening grand ceremony. Information will be coming with a save to date and an invitation from Chelsea. So keep that on the horizon and look out for that. We're really excited to open that trail. When we do open that trail, it is going to open as an out and back from the Sandy River Park side. It will be signed. Please do not enter, do not go beyond this point due to it coming up to the construction zone for safety of the public and the users and for those working on the construction site. And then, as I'm all sure you have all heard and seen lots of posts and inquiries, our Tickle Creek Trail System sustained substantial damage during the last storm. We probably have at a minimum 100 trees down throughout the corridor. Ant Farm came in and helped us out right away to clear the section of the trail that is east of Melissa Avenue heading towards 211. So that shorter section of the trail is open and for use, but the rest of the trail remains closed. We had a really great meeting yesterday that Kathleen Walker helped us facilitate between the city and some experts over with the forestry department. And we're working towards a plan to try to work towards reopening the trail. We will likely see the trail reopen. We hope in the somewhat near future. I hesitate to even try to say a date right now, but we're going to work to open the trail and then aim towards a much more extensive restoration project. And so this will take months, if not years, to fully recover the area, but we are going to work to get it open. But when it first opens, you will still continue to see down timber out there, and it will, the landscape will have changed. But just want to say thank you to Kathleen. She really was a big, huge help yesterday, and she's helping us look into grants and really creative solutions and problem solving with that space. Other than that, we're just taking care of the day-to-day, catching back up, getting ready for the growing season. Brandon, my newest team member, will be going through a CDL course here coming soon. So hopefully I will have a staff member license with the CDL, which will just help us be more effective as a parks unit. So doing good things. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Very good. Hey, and thank you for your hard work on the storm damage. I know that it can just feel absolutely daunting sometimes to suddenly go out there and see a facility that is beloved by the community and not be able to make it accessible to them. And I know people don't always understand that. And they always think, oh, we can just get a few volunteers and a couple of chainsaws out there, and by golly, we can knock this out in a few days. And life just doesn't work that way. Not anymore.
Yeah, thank
And,
you.
I appreciate your hard work on that. And I know that it'll get done professionally and appropriately. So thanks again.
Thank you.
All righty.
Heck,
Yes,
looks like
Pat.
she has a question.
Yeah, just curious, like, the Tickle Creek is that considered like part of the natural areas? Just at least I mean, I know there's built up infrastructure as far as the trail goes and everything, but kind of like that corridor is a little bit more natural. So I was just wondering if I know there's a lot of work that goes into like making sure everything is safe for from a risk point of view, but you're not going to be like you're going to keep down wood in places where it can be left and things like that, right? Not just
Yes.
like haul everything out.
The majority of the wood will stay. We're looking into options of whether it's possible, and right now we don't know because there's a lot of extenuating circumstances, but whether we would be allowed to do any reinforcing of stream banks. If we are able to do that, it will be long-term, much further down the road. It is not going to be in the immediate near future, but if we are able to do that, we would be looking at trying to use some of the down timber that we lost during this storm. But we're talking about cutting sections maybe 8 to 10 foot wide and getting the trail reopened. There's a lot of hazards out there right now. There's a lot of leaners. There's things that are stuck pretty far up in the air that we need to get completely down on the ground and make the area safe. And then I'll be exploring some options at the recommendation of Kathleen with those sections that we do harvest and cut out. Maybe we can have that milled for usable materials for repairs to trails, bridges, rails. Bridge 1 was hit again that we just rebuilt and repaired. So we will be repairing that rail again before we can reopen the section. So just a lot of creative solutions, but really looking at how we can care for that area.
Well, the more we can leave out there, the better off we are. The more opportunity for keeping woody debris in the streams that aren't impeding it and creating flood hazards is a good thing. More
Yes.
opportunity for, you know, standing snags that are safe, that can be used for nesting opportunities for birds and things, the better off we are. And frankly, the easier it is for us too. If we can leave it.
Right.
that's a
Yeah, the
good-
balance between like the, mitigating risk and leaving some cool features, natural features out there.
Absolutely.
Nurse trees for the future cedars and hemlocks.
Yes. Yes, we want to reduce fuel, so the slash piles and such, but the big trunks and logs are going to likely, a lot of that's going to stay in place.
Nice. There are some really cool root wads from what I could see standing this
They're,
side.
they're
up here,
impressive.
but-
They are very
Yeah.
impressive.
Well, and we all like a good root wad too, so
That's right.
Photo walk.
there we go. Lori, is there anything from council we need to be aware of?
I don't think so. I would just maybe kind of give you guys a heads up on one thing. There's Stan had a meeting this week with county commissioners because you may or may not know, and I don't know the exact number, but the city of Sandy does primarily fund the Hoodland Library. And we've asked for some money from the county commissioners. They've been very hesitant. So I know council will be looking at funding the Hoodland Library. So just kind of a heads up that will be a topic that's up for discussion. I, of course, am not in favor of closing that library by any means, but there may be some people who are. So just keep that on your radar.
All righty. Okay, anybody for the good of the order have anything to add? Nothing from Ryan, Peck, anything? Nothing. Lori, you're all done. Thank you. All right. John, Tiana, anything jump out to you? No, good. Chelsea, got any vacation plans coming up you want to share? No? Okay, Rochelle, anything at all?
I don't. Thank you, though, Don.
All righty. Well, with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Hopefully, not too late for people to make it to supper for Tupper over at